What's up, guys? It's been a while. Basically just missed making YouTube videos, and we're back. So I basically wanted to do this sort of reboot video to discuss a little bit why I came back to the L mount after leaving it. If you've seen some other videos on the channel, then you've probably seen that, I had frustrations with Sigma and kind of crashed out and left the L mount system. So this is kind of why I'm back and what I've found along the way. If you've seen the other videos, with the Sigma FP video I did, it's really old, shot bad. Basically was frustrated with their service costs and expectations, and I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't think that I needed to pay that much just for a repair. While that may or may not be true still, what brought me back was sort of trying other gear and just not loving it the same way that I loved the designs from Sigma. Now, I know obviously a lot of these are just like aesthetic things. That's kind of one of the things I want people to take away from a video like this is that, a lot of these systems are viable, and most of this is just like aesthetic choices with some caveats, and there's market stuff that matters, but L mount is obviously viable. Z mount, the Nikon Z system, would highly recommend to anybody starting out. That's probably still a better value. And while my time with the ZF was amazing, I wasn't really detailing stuff on YouTube then. It just didn't click the same way as much as I like the FP. And then basically when I saw the BF, I said, all right, you got me. I'm coming back. And previous videos, I did on the Nikon Z7 as being a great deal. Like I said, I didn't really detail the ZF stuff, but it is probably the Goldilocks camera for a bunch of people, like 90% of people that want to do photography. And it's probably better in some ways with the Tech Art system. The availability of lenses, you can adapt anything to the Z mount. All of that is still true. Still an amazing system to get into. But part of me changing my mind and wanting to come back to the L mount system, part of that was kind of going down that rabbit hole and just getting over wanting a bunch of lenses. I basically wanted to focus on kind of the workhorse lenses, just a set for getting things done and for getting the shots, and not wanting to try, a bunch of different focal lengths, a bunch of different form factors, brands, all that. Now the affordable stuff, the vintage stuff, all that is good. Obviously it's viable, depending on what you want or what you expect. That stuff's good and fun. I've had more than several, but when you kind of want to just get down to it, just get the lenses that work, get a system that works. I feel like the gas cycle kind of ends when you focus on that, which I feel like I've finally found the set of lenses that is kind of the end to gas, like I said, and just gets things done. I don't need to go look for anything else. And hopefully this will kind of alleviate that and stop that. So I can just focus on work and, doing photography. So my main setup now that I'm back in L mount currently is the Sigma FP and the S5II, which we're on right now. And at least currently I have the FP set up as kind of my rangefinder. That's not really a rangefinder. I'm not going to own a Leica. I'm not going to carry it on me and have that something that expensive while I'm out. FP is far more attainable, arguably has better features, doesn't have the experience, but it's enough for me. And I basically have the EVF married to it, as well as the Thypox Samara 50 millimeter, which is my favorite focal length. And if you want to be a true photographer, trademark hashtag, you can just have that rangefinder experience, manual focusing, just you and 50 millimeters, trying to be your best Henri that you can be. But yeah, basically all that's my setup for the FP. I'm not going to be rigging it out as a cinema camera. Video is very much like a side quest for me. And I don't want to risk the USB port again. So it's just staying how it is. Don't need to go down the rabbit hole of accessories. It's got the grip. It's got the EVF. That's how it's staying. All that said, you know, I did get back into the S5II. Like I said, I had an S5II previously. I don't think I really put it through its paces, and like I said, it was kind of just a casualty of crashing out over the Sigma stuff. Lumix didn't do anything bad by making the S5II or the S5II. They've been great, and you know, it's just gotten more updates since then. The autofocus has been bang on. Everything's been fast and snappy. The real-time LUT, which actually I didn't get to try with Lumix Lab at the time, but now that I've been able to use it with Lumix Lab, I've seen that workflow and gotten to use it a little bit. Still early days, but it's very nice, which I did say in the video of the S9 video, kind of cooking that camera, that it would come to the S5II series, and it's across all their cameras. It's been fantastic. And while I did roast the S9, I think there's enough updates on that now too, where it makes sense like slotting in with someone else's system that already has this stuff. But it does have its shortcomings, and especially as somebody's first camera for the price, all that still holds true. I have my criticisms of the S9, and I won't say I'm going to take it all back or anything like that. I think they're valid, but you can also have valid critique and it not be the end of the world. Like I said, these are cameras, they're brands, they're big companies. You know, you're supposed to put things out there that hopefully they listen to. Also, between the real-time LUT and the photo style stuff, where you can actually add grain in Lumix cameras. I would keep it on low personally. It's pretty heavy. But being able to add grain and having the real-time LUT, it kind of makes me question why people would want to stick with Fuji, myself included. Of course, there are emotional and design and stock pumping hype reasons that some people would stick with Fuji, or obviously if you're in the system, you know, it makes sense to have things match up. And that's kind of another takeaway from this video is not being in multiple systems is very nice, which most people don't have that problem, I think. But trying to venture down all these different paths and try different things that are, you know, ultimately are still viable, it doesn't make sense to get tied up into a bunch of them. So again, with that, at least for me, going back to the FP was kind of a bit of a downfall for me being with Nikon still. So yeah, I'm going to keep this one fairly short. Just wanted to start making videos again, and sort of a reboot for the channel. I would still recommend Nikon, Sony, and L mount to anybody starting out, or maybe looking to get away from some of the other systems. And yeah, I just kind of want to share a guy gassing out on stuff, but ultimately coming to the realization that, you know, just getting the workhorse stuff and focusing on getting the work done kind of alleviates a lot of the problems that we create for ourselves. And focusing on one system, like I said, at least that main workhorse set of lenses, also alleviates a lot of the frustrations of, you know, seeing something as restrictive, although L mount is still lacking in the super compact stuff. I'm not really on the radar enough for Sigma to care about my gripes with the service costs. You know, their quality, obviously their design aesthetics, and the fact that they're going to still be here, is enough for me to say, you know what, I'll let it go and just use the stuff that I love still. So yeah, that's going to be it for this bit of a reboot rant on coming back to the L mount system. Like and subscribe, do all the YouTuber stuff. Yeah, and leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think, or if you've dealt with similar stuff as far as system switching. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Sigma and Lumix, for better or worse, you have me back, comrades.